are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
I am Evan Closky.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays, as well as all the other podcasting platforms. We're also on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And email us anytime. We will have a mailbag episode later on this week. LockedOnRays@gmail.com to send in questions, comments, concerns, hot takes, whatever it may be. Trade scenarios, we like those as well. Voice memos preferred, of course, LockedOnRays@gmail.com. Before we get into a little fun exercise here, we do have to acknowledge the Rays downing the Boston Red Sox by a score of 4-1 and making their record 43-19, major's best.
Love it.
Not
Can't
too
get
bad.
enough. Can't get enough, man. And when it all started with that loss, you were like, oh, man, it's going to be a long weekend. Boom, they take 3 out of 4. They handled business, Evan.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 games, 0 home runs. Should have had 2 in Monday's affair, but it's pretty remarkable to see this group kind of, A, banged up as much as they are, and B, sort of how long. I mean, Kevin Cash said after the game, right? Like, it was for a 1-week road trip. It seems like they've been on the road forever.
Yeah.
So it's just been a laborious trip. The weather's stunk. They're ready to come home to the Trop, and it's going to be an exciting week playing the Twins and the Rangers, which is, should be Sunday Night Baseball, but whatever.
Yeah. The only bad news, of course, is Brandon Lau has hit the IL with a lower back issue. Hopefully that gets situated. But, got to appreciate and give kudos to the Rays for handling the business on the road and in the poor conditions and winning in dynamic fashion multiple ways. The team that has the most homers in the big leagues doesn't need home runs to win ball games. So that's good to know for later on this year. All right. Ulysses, do you want to introduce and welcome this fun exercise that we have planned?
Yes, of course I do. Well, usually for people, peek behind the curtain here, we do a little bit of a text group chat, the 3 of us, and sometimes we end up talking before the recordings or after post-recording. And then we had this idea the other day of how about if we all just put our GM hats on and then propose a trade that's a believable trade that you can actually see happen. It's not a Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout kind of thing. It's not MLB The Show, but what do you actually see happening between front offices? So this is what we're going to do. Each segment, we're going to present our trade. Evan will go first and basically just talk about how that would make sense, how we don't like it, how we like it, how we love it, and go from there. So, Evan, you are up.
All right. So this trade actually falls in line a little bit with the trade that happened a couple of years ago with the Brewers, where the Rays get a couple of, at that point, relief arms. Drew Rasmussen became a lot more in the future, but getting JP Fireeisen and Drew Rasmussen at the time, 2 fairly low-profile names for Willy Adames, which seemed like oh crap sort of trade, right? Like,
yeah,
they're really giving up on Willy. So my deal is going to be with the Reds. It's going to be Lucas Sims and Graham Ashcraft, and I want to say that Lucas Sims has a 1.5 years of team control. Graham Ashcraft has still 2 years of pre-arbitration before his arbitration years. So I like him, and we'll get into that. For Jonathan Aranda and Oslavis Basabe, who I am actually very high on Basabe. He doesn't really have the power, but this guy has probably mashed at every level a little bit better than Jonathan Aranda, I feel like. So for me, like, I don't know how updated these trades are on the baseball trade simulator that we use, but for me, Basabe's got a little bit more value than Aranda. I do want to throw in an addendum that I can totally see something wild happening where a Carson Williams or a Shane Baz is included as the main piece, and then they just figure out a way to make it work with the 40 man. So it might be like, let's say like Shane Baz, Ryan Thompson, and then DFA Zach Littell, something like that, to make sure that you can get these two guys on the roster, since obviously Baz is on the 60 man. Carson Williams would also present similar issues, but that's a similar idea. Carson Williams, trade Ryan Thompson, and then you DFA probably Littell. But in this scenario, you actually don't have to give away Thompson, since you're giving away two people off the 40 man. So that's sort of my thought.
Question. So theoretically, you would be okay with the Rays trading Shane Baz, Basabe, and who was the other prospect? Oh, I gave mine away. That's not good. Nobody saw that.
Well, no, and not to mention,
Aranda.
So Baz, if Baz would be the name, then I would be removing Basabe. 1,000%.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
I'm willing to talk with them about Aranda still, but I would even lean more towards Baz being the central character of that trade, and then me giving them sort of a Thompson to throw into their bullpen right now, as sort of like a, hey, you're giving us two of your arms. Here's one back in Ryan Thompson. And then honestly, if they want Littell back too, that's fine. If they just need to get arms into their pen, or maybe they got, they'll call someone up and they don't care about that other piece. But that would sort of be my spin on it, on my own trade, in case, they don't want two hitters. They want a pitcher if they're trading two pitchers. So there are things that, I don't know what Locked On Reds would be wanting here.
I have a question on it too. Let me just put it again on the screen. For those who are watching on YouTube, you know that we're putting the trades on screen with the values from baseballtradevalues.com. So you can actually follow along the math here easier if you go on YouTube. But so you have Ashcraft and Sims for 31.20, right? The total value.
Yep.
What is the most expensive trade that you're willing to do for these two guys? What is the most expensive thing that you're willing to go and say, fine, I really need Ashcraft, I really need Sims, but I'm giving you a lot here? What's your line?
I mean, so who do you value more? Do you value Shane Baz more or Carson Williams?
Shane Baz.
So Baz, that's as high as I'm willing to go. And that hurts. That hurts. Yeah. I mean, I certainly. I don't want to trade Shane Baz. He's electric. But the fact of the matter is, if we're talking about pieces to help this team win right now, Shane Baz does not help them right now. Would Cincinnati be interested in a Jeffrey Springs now that he's under his 4-year deal at a very reasonable amount, even though he won't be back till the middle of next year? Worth discussing. But that's, there's a part of me that feels really bad about giving away Baz, but at the same point, that's usually how trades go. You're not really going to be happy. And again, my hope is first off, you get Lucas Sims, who I think is a really underrated, electric slide. Rays freaking love that pitch. That's He's got like the nastiest one per pitch movement, whatever you want to look at. And his stuff, plus it grades out. So for me, you put him into the bullpen. I think he immediately becomes kind of a go-to 7th inning, 8th inning guy, depending on where you like him in the order. And then on top of that, Graham Ashcraft, I think, is another dude who it hasn't necessarily clicked yet, but the stuff is like, it's all over the pages. Like, his stuff is there. It is in certain pitches he grades near the top, and stuff. Plus, he's around some big names. Like, I have to believe that the Rays can bring him in and make him a really good depth piece for the season, which it seems like they're going to need. But not only that, he will be probably an integral part of a postseason roster in a 2-3 inning type of role. I think you kind of go reverse Drew Rasmussen with him. try to get him as a starter, and then when push comes to shove, postseason time, assuming that your horses are there, or he can be even the fourth starter, assuming that Drew is not in the picture this year.
Or something happens to Tosh. Hopefully not. But yeah, you need maybe some backup. Okay, to conclude Evans trade, my piece would be I like it, but if it involves Shane Baz, I say no.
That's fair.
And we know how
everybody
prospect hugs, particularly the Rays fan base out there. So the social media comments would go bonkers when Topkin tweets out the breaking news. Actually, it probably wouldn't be Topkin. It'd be Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan or something. So I don't know if there's enough name recognition for those Reds players for the fan base to understand giving up Aranda and Basabe and or Shane Baz.
What was the reaction when they gave up Willy Adames?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's a bad deal or it doesn't make sense. It's just the fan base is going to come with their torches and their
are you
to be fair, that's sort of the Rays way, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, trust us.
But are you saying, Kevin, that even with Basabe and Aranda, you think that's too expensive? Like that wouldn't even work for you?
I mean, for me, I would be okay with it.
Okay, that's all. That's all.
Yeah.
The fandom is going to always scream at Twitter. Yeah.
Question: would this deal have an expiration date of like, I want this deal done sooner rather than later? I'm not waiting until July 31st to pull the trigger.
I mean, for me, again, what I tell people is, if I'm making these deals, I kind of want to wait unless there's an oh crap moment with more injuries. Where it's like, oh, man, how are we going to swallow the loss of McClanahan? How are we going to swallow the loss of Eflin? Unless there's another type of injury that forces your hand. For me, I would like to push pitcher trades as far down the road as possible so that I don't get somebody who immediately goes into the tank, right? I mean, pitchers are highly volatile. You never know what's going to happen with their arms. So for me, I'd like to pick up my pitchers closer to August than right now, which puts us closer to May, when we still have a lot of games left and I can really get a larger sample size, see if everything continues to check all the boxes. You don't know if also you can buy low, like maybe Lucas Sims hits a rough patch and his stuff still grades out and you might be able to swoop in there. So, yeah, that's just my personal opinion with arms, even though we all know they did that Rasmussen Feyereisen trade in May. So, I mean, they have pulled the trigger fairly early in the past with this kind of stuff.
All right, we have more trades to get to. Ulysses' trade scenario, my trade scenario. But first, we have to tell you about Game Time. It is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone so you never have to dig through your email. So go ahead and snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. I'll even spell it out for you. LOCKEDONMLB. See, I could be a spelling bee champion on ESPN. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Okay. My turn. Let me paint you a picture, boys, about the Detroit Tigers. They need offense. They rank 29th in runs scored. Just so you know, they've scored 207 runs. That's only one more than the Athletics. So, for comparison's sake, the Rays have scored 355. They're also 28th in WRC plus. The Rays have a 132 and they have an 83. So just look at the discrepancy there. Riley Green, their big guy, their outfielder is on the IL. He fractured his left leg. So they need outfield help. They need some thump in the lineup. And when you look at their second and third baseman options, well, they are lacking offensively. So this is my trade. I'm willing to give them some thump in Luke Raley. I'm willing to give them some versatility. Second, third base, and outfield help with Vidal Brujan. And I'm giving them Jalen Beeks for a return of Will Vest. If you do not know who Will Vest is, I can tell you right now. Well, that Will Vest has 21 innings pitched this year. He has a 9.4 K per nine, 3.4 walks per nine. The ERA is sitting at 3. The FIP is sitting at 233. He's got a 0.4 WAR, which is pretty good for being a reliever. I'm excited about what Will Vest can do. I understand that maybe the walks are a little bit high for a reliever, but he does have team control. He's only over a year and a little plus in the majors. So he started his career in 2021 with the Mariners, only pitched 35 innings. Last year, he pitched 63. So far, he has 21. So it's a guy that you know that can give you length, at least from the bullpen, with around 60 innings. And that's something that would be really, really helpful for the Rays. So that would be my trade. Thoughts?
I'm looking at his numbers. It's really confusing because there's only been 2 barrels on 55 batted balls, but he ranks in the second percentile, and it's bad.
Yeah.
Very bad. In hard hit percentage, which, how can you be so good? He's in a 91st percentile on barrels, and in a second percentile on hard hit.
But maybe a lot of ground balls could be it. Just a lot. Not the barrel is not really. It's with exit velocity and launch, right? Yeah. So maybe the launch angle is detrimental. So it's bad. Maybe it's going into the ground.
Yeah, that's possible. I will say his pitch is all grayed out. Really like he's a 4-seam slider type. What you see is kind of what you get with the peripheral stuff. I think I don't want 100% know where we're going with this. So you're trading Beeks, who is a right. This guy's a righty. So you're trading Beeks, who's a lefty.
Yes.
Who I tend to actually believe is not that bad and can give you multiple innings.
Yes.
And then you're tacking on Brujan, which is whatever, and then Raley, who I would argue his value is actually creeping up. Now I'm willing to trade Luke Raley for something and bring up Manzardo.
Yes.
If the right piece is there.
Wait, you would call up Manzardo this season?
No. Now I will say this, by the way, timeout. I'm just
because
saying
let me just butt in here. I am really hesitant to trade any part of this offensive group. Whatever they're doing, whatever is going on in that clubhouse, I like that mold. And I would not want to take Luke Raley out of that mold for this year. Off season, that's a different conversation for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, by the way. I'm saying that I can see the logic behind it. Behind doing a move that says if another team wants Raley and you give me a piece that makes it worth it, then I can call up Manzardo. And there might be a learning curve, and it might not be there's a little bit of risk there, but you should be getting rewarded in an area like bullpen, which is a huge need. So
yeah,
I understand.
I'm not calling up Kyle Manzardo during a playoff run. I'm sorry.
Well, if he has time to get used to it, but yeah, there's a risk. But again, that's why I'm saying is that I don't think Vest is that piece for me to be excited about it, and certainly not throwing in Beeks and Brujan, who unless you're giving me, who are we filling those other 2 40-man spots with?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like if you look at the Rays' depth, Brujan doesn't really have a spot, you guys. Like, he doesn't. I understand
until Brandon Lau gets healthy.
Yeah, Brandon Lau got on the IL. He's the first call up. But if Brujan wasn't there, then it would have been Basabe. Like, it's really not. It's not a big piece that you're losing with Brujan. I understand we like him and he's very versatile. I get it. I'm only throwing Beeks in there because when you look at baseball trade value, I mean, you need to at least make up some of that value that Vest is giving you at 9.3. So Beeks is giving you 8.2. So he's really bringing in the value here in the trade. And honestly, I just feel like sometimes Beeks is not utilized the correct way with the Rays. And I understand that they tried him as a starter and now as a half a bulk guy, facing 6 or 7 hitters. But I just feel like when he is not finding the strike zone, he's given too much of a leash because of the story past with the team. I think Cash really does have a lot of confidence in him, and he gives him a little bit longer leash than he maybe should. So that's why I'm giving Beeks away. And Raley, well, they need thump. I mean, that other front office is not just going to be like, yeah, fleece us. Like, what do you have something that we want? And they need offense.
I would be interested in maybe a vest for Raley. But even so, I don't know if it's tough. There's something in that's too much. I know you're making the values. I know the values match. Yeah. But that's where I think Raley is actually underrated right now in the trade simulator. I think he's
a zero. It surprised me. Yeah.
I mean, he has tons of team control.
Yes.
And
the players love him. I mean, just he's
proving consistent. Honestly,
I think he is very underrated because
he's getting stronger as the season's kind of going on. I mean, like,
fast guy. He's surprisingly fast.
He's been doing a lot. He's really, like, if we want to talk about players who have genuinely surprised me this year, like what Luke Raley has done is way more surprising than like what Josh Lowe has done. Because I think like last year, we can go back to the tape of me being like, I'm all in on Josh Lowe. It was just he just sucked last year. But we all had high expectations.
Okay, just to close out this segment now, what iteration of this trade would you go for, Evan?
My guess would actually be going to the Tigers. If the Tigers are looking for immediate thump, I would talk to them about I could throw them that's where I would like to try to get rid of one of my middle infielders because the Rays have so much
Paredes.
But Paredes, give Paredes back. No, Paredes.
My point is on this deal, I am just hesitant to trade any part of this offense right now.
Wow. Kevin, this is a no for you.
Swap Luke Raley for Jonathan Aranda, and you have a deal. I don't want to trade Harold Ramirez. I don't want to trade Luke Raley. I don't want to trade.
Something like that.
Francisco Mejia.
I'm fine with that. I would give him I would even do like Aranda Brujan for Vest. But even so,
it sounds too expensive.
I don't know. Let's get through Kev's. I have a whole discussion here, and it's going to take a little vetting through.
Well, first of all, we got to tell you that this show and episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes we need some aid when we try to find who we are, and that comes from talking to somebody. It's easy to get caught up when everybody else has going on in their life, and you forget about yourself. And therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life, so you keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. BetterHelp can give you flexibility, and it's convenient, and it's suited to your schedule. You actually have an app. I like using the app on the phone. It's very, very easy to use. If you've never tried it, you can fill out a brief questionnaire, and you can get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can switch at any time for no additional charge. So find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today, and you get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB.
Okay, getting to my trade deal, not quite as convoluted and detailed as what you all brought to the table, but I'm keeping it simple. I'm keeping it Dan Wheeler for Ty Wigginton, Brett Phillips for Lucius Fox, 1-for-1. The White Sox get Greg Jones. The Rays get Joe Kelly, right-handed relief pitcher who hasn't pitched 50 innings in a season since 2019, but he's still, at his age, has an upper 90s fastball and a gyro slider, and that's what I'm going to put forth. The White Sox, they like their tooled up, toolsy players, prospects. Greg Jones is that guy. You open up a 40-man spot, and the Rays take a little bit of a flyer, but also proven veteran in Joe Kelly. Now, I have this in front of me, but I'll also add an addendum to my philosophy in general. Like I've mentioned already on this episode, I'm not doing any trade that involves Harold Ramirez. I'm not doing any trade that involves Luke Raley. I'm not really doing any trade that involves any part of this offensive group or core. Wait till the offseason. Wait till December, January, February to make those moves, because I like this group. I like this dynamic. I don't want to do anything to upset the apple cart or change that in any way, shape, or form. Now, if there's a bunch of injuries and something, pops up, okay. But what I would be doing if I were the Rays, and thank God that they do not hire me in their front office, because it'd be a mess, quite frankly. But, there's guys out there we've talked about: Alex Cobb, Alex Lang, Alexis Diaz, David Bednar, the Trevor May, just name after name after name, starting pitcher, relief pitcher, whatever it may be. I would just be calling all these teams and I would say, hey, we'll offer Jonathan Aranda, we'll offer Greg Jones, and we'll offer you one of our pitching prospects ranked in 20 to 30 of our system. So maybe that's a JJ Goss, an Evan Reifert, an Austin Vernon, a Logan Workman. And
Reifert's supposed to be real good, though. Damn.
Okay. Well,
hashtag prospect hugging. Yeah.
No, I mean, here's
so
my thing.
Aranda, Greg Jones in a number 20 to number 30 pitching prospect, and then see who says yes.
Okay.
Correct. And I think for a guy like Joe Kelly, that process works. And this is going to go back to what we were talking about in Ulysses' segment. I 100% agree in the thought process of not wanting to upset the apple cart in the sense of what that lineup is. And you can convince me of a 1-for-1 type deal. As I mentioned, like I can understand the philosophy of Raley out, Manzardo up. And if you do a small kind of change like that, but it has to be for a player that is of such an impact elsewhere that it makes sense. Now, for me, I'm not so worried about manipulating relief pitchers on this squad, but you can't mess with the chemistry of the squad either, which is important in doing these deals, which is why it's very important to recognize what is the strength of the Rays farm system right now. And it is middle infielders, toolsy types. Right now, this infield is completely blocked. I would argue, the number one name to throw out there would be a Curtis Mead if you wanted a Bednar, if you wanted a Diaz. Like, for me, that's where the conversation starts. So this is what the Rays need to decide. Because let's go back to 2001 very quickly. 2021, not 2001. Rough year. Let's go back to 2021 for a second and talk about what they gave up in the Nelson Cruz trade. Right? That was they needed a bat who can hit left-handed pitching, right? And Cruz was a big old bopper. You can slate into that number 4 spot. They needed that. And they gave up arguably one of the better starting pitchers in the American League right now, and someone we were all significantly high on. This prospect pool that the Rays have very quietly does not have much pitching-wise. They have a couple of very interested in White and Reifert, guys I'm very interested in, and that they should keep in the system because those are people they absolutely need at the next level. Just guys who can get swings and misses, high strikeout rates. But they need to either go big on the high leverage reliever and pencil this guy in as your closer, Pete Fairbanks as your eighth guy, and just maybe he's your closer in home games during the postseason. And Adam goes back to the eighth inning role and you kind of solidify it from there. Or you go sort of the Kevin route, which is let's just find people who we like and we can fit into sort of this depth relief pitching stuff and go from there. Because I don't think that this team should really be giving up a big time prospect unless they're saying, screw it, we're going all in. Yeah. And we're going to get a guy like Bednar or Diaz, who at least is on team control for a while.
Right.
And their stuff grades out and they immediately inject strength into the back end of this bullpen. And you take a guy out of your system that has no impact on the 2023 squad. As much as I love Curtis Mead, as much as third base kind of long-term, he's the guy, and they kind of need that spot filled in the future. They probably can figure it out without him. But, if you can make it work with Carson Williams and whatever, Junior Caminero is a guy that I don't think they should even take offers on.
I wouldn't make any deal that involves Caminero,
Yep.
Mead, or
Yep.
Manzardo.
Yep. Agreed. I mean, if that's their asking price, then we're just going to have to, pull a Sean Murphy and keep our hands in our pockets.
Right. David Bednar, he's a great reliever. I shouldn't say great. Very, very good, proven reliever. And all, but I'm
not giving up
a meaningful game, a meaningful playoff game.
Yeah, exactly.
Can he handle Game 5 of the ALCS in the eighth inning?
Kevin, to your point, that's why I do like the Joe Kelly situation. I know some people might not like it, but that veteran presence, that under the lights, I like that, when a pitcher has already done that.
Same thing for Alexis Diaz. What meaningful moment has he been in?
I agree with you. I that's why I like it. The veteran presence. His stuff might not be as good as it was once, but I do like the veteran presence. So, boys, I want everybody that's watching this. First of all, great job, Evan, Kevin, doing your trade scenarios. I want people that are watching this on YouTube, drop it in the comments. Which of the 3 trade scenarios did you like the best? All right. And then
throw in your own.
Yeah, throw in your own. Exactly. Because we want to hear from you. And then maybe we can read those in a future episode.
We do have a comment here from Jake Stokes, listener, in regards to trade scenarios, says, bullpen. Guys like Amir Garrett, who are proven but have some controllable years left and can sprinkle the Rays' magic dust on them. I'd also like another steady bat just to add even more depth. It's quite a wish list.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, Amir Garrett, I don't think it's on any list in the Rays organization.
Are we trying to, foster develop boxers here? Or?
Yeah.
Also, we all went bullpen. We all went arms. All 3 of us.
And I will say with my deal, again, not to change it up completely, but I am amenable to, okay, you won't take Greg Jones. We'll add in that number 20 to number 30 pitching prospect.
Sure.
Like, I'm willing to keep moving the needle to get Joe Kelly in a Rays uniform.
And as far as the hitting thing is concerned, I don't see the Rays trading for hitting. And personally, I don't see why it's needed.
No, it's not.
What has anything proven? So Brandon Lau goes down. Okay, now you bring up Brujan. It's like, okay, Brujan doesn't work out. Well, you bring up Aranda. Oh, Aranda doesn't work out. Bring up Basabe. Like, they have all these internal options. It's not like, I'd rather run through that pipeline than to try to find something and make a splash, because as well as I've supported I love the move for Peralta last year. I loved the move for Nelson Cruz when they made it. It hasn't worked out for them, and that's not like to their fault. Those are trades that I would have done too. It just, I'd rather run it through the pipeline, and because they have the depth to do it. They're ready.
And it all depends on what, we all have different definitions, very different definitions of what that steady bat, reliable bat is. Like, is that from a couple years ago an Eric Sogard? Is it, I don't know. So, if it's just a veteran to kind of fill in the space there until a Brandon Lau or somebody gets healthy, I'm okay with that. But I don't know if there's a need.
It's already a battle on a 26-man to make it.
That's why I'm trying to get some of our 40-man dudes off and acquire a reliever too. All I'm saying.
Very cool.
So,
very cool.
fun segment. I hope you all enjoyed. Fun episode, I should say.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed. And yeah, comment below. Send us an email, trade proposal. We will have a mailbag episode coming up. So that's something that we could dive into a little bit more as well. Anyway, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.